Hello and welcome to the next Döhle Yachts coffee break. My name is Joe Assale, I'm the technical director here, and today I'm joined by David Gooberman from the Isle of Man Ship Register, and we're going to talk about their new initiative of remote surveying. David, welcome.
Hi Joe, good to speak to you again. Yes, remote surveys, science fiction has finally arrived.
Excellent.
If you think about it, for many years people have been talking about doing stuff over the internet, over the airwaves. Drones keep popping up, class are trying to drones to do close-up surveys on ships. It's all getting very exciting. Now, once the pandemic came along, obviously we couldn't travel. Nobody could really travel. And a key part of surveying a vessel or a yacht is going on board it physically. Where we're based the wrong side of the world, we can't get to it. So the pandemic sort of focused our minds a little bit to what can be done. So in late May 2020, we were approached by one of our class societies. They wanted to do a full set of annuals on board a bulk carrier. A bulk carrier was based on Western Australia. The class society surveyors were based in Singapore, and they asked us to witness it because they wanted to see if they can credit a full annual by not actually visiting on board, by doing all through remote survey techniques. So myself and Toby Brooks on the Isle of Man, we actually sat through the surveys remotely. It's the first time I've ever had jet lag in my front room because we were on the Isle of Man, the surveys were in Singapore, and the actual ship was down in Australia. Bit teething problems, but we got through it. And we were satisfied to credit the vessel for the full set of annual surveys. That's the first time that had actually been done remotely by class. Very impressive. So what we saw was very impressive. We thought, actually, you know what? We could do something here. Now, our flag obligation is to visit every vessel every 2.5 years. And due to the pandemic, we were extending by 3 months at a time. And at some point, you've got to stop kicking the can down the road and go, actually, we need to do something here. So having seen this remote survey technique work, we thought, actually, this could work for us. So in early October 2020, we trialed 2 systems. Both various class societies have been using different systems. We picked 2 of them, we tried them. And by late October, we decided which one to use and then commenced remote surveys, bang, almost straight away. Testing and teething problems aside, it worked actually very, very well. So that's how long we've been working with it. Not very long at all, but it's actually the pandemic's really pushed it, and it's really worked for us because we're not traveling anywhere soon. But equally, a remote survey's got to be good enough for us to credit the vessel or the yacht for a survey. And that's where we are at the moment.
So that's interesting. So this started off as a commercial ship kind of initiative, actually due to necessity, not necessarily because of the pandemic. And now it's provided a solution across all of your vessels. And this is going to be available for yachts as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it would have come eventually, but the pandemic definitely pushed it to the fore. It's just a more efficient way of working. And absolutely, we've done it. We have done some inspections and surveys on yachts and audits on yachts as well already, using the same tool. So yes, it's equally applicable across the yachts. So the way the system, can I explain our system?
Yeah, works, I was going to ask how it actually works and maybe the technology involved.
Sorry, yeah, it's because the technology is actually basically a smartphone on board the vessel or yacht. It's simple, or a connected tablet. So we've signed up with the company Libra. We hold licenses for that, and we'll send an invite out to the ship or yacht in question. And all they have to do is download from the App Store or Google Play Store for free the app. We send an invite out, and they log in with a unique password. And then basically the smartphone effectively becomes our eyes on board. So the beauty of that is not just videoing as you go around, but actually it allows us to share screens with each other. We can write on the screen, whatever we write on the screen they can see. Whatever we can take photographs, we can take videos. So basically it's a very intelligent way of having the eyes on board. So it takes a lot of learning for the surveyors, but it also takes a lot of, it's a completely new thing for the people on board the ships as well, for the staff on the ship. So they have to learn how to use it as well. Yeah. So we send out various guide packs. We have test calls as well. So it's a whole new world. But so basically, so all you need on board is what I'm saying is a decent smartphone and decent connectivity.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And
4 or 5G, and that's the big bugbear. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, you got no mobile signal, it's not going to work. If you're in a port with good signal alongside, it works very, very well. And you can't second guess it. We some big ports have poor signals, some have good signals, and you never know where you are. So it's that's in a nutshell how it works. Fantastic. It's actually beautifully simple.
So that doesn't require anyone additional to come on board. You can do this with maybe the chief engineer for the engineering side of the boat. You can maybe give it to one of the one on the deck side when you're going around, for their department. So it doesn't require any external person to come on board then.
No, nobody at all. In fact, if you want, you can have 3 people on board and 3 phones, and you can see them all separately at the same time, should you wish. But nobody physically goes on board at all. It's all done purely remotely, and that's the beauty of it. Because A, we can't travel. B, if we can travel, sometimes the yachts or ships don't want anybody on board due to their COVID restrictions, which is fully understandable. So this fulfills the box quite well at the moment.
Brilliant. And timescale wise, does this take longer, or due to the preparation that's gone in beforehand, you can still fulfill it in a similar amount of time?
Great point. Yeah, no, it takes a lot longer. There is preparation involved. We generally ask the yacht or the ship to send the certificates to look at, a document to look at beforehand. We are about a week or so before we ask for that. Then we'll take a test call as well, just check the communications are working. If it doesn't work, we don't do it, obviously, because we can't see. And then on board takes a lot longer on board as well. Yeah, because again, technology is new to people on board. Down at connectivity speed as you're walking around, it's not as if you're on board where you quickly look up, look around, up and down, and look around. You've got to physically get the guy on board to actually get the camera and point it where you want to point it, or zoom in or zoom out. You've got to point it, And that it's interesting. Some ships get it really, really well. Some ships take a little bit longer. It all depends on the people on board adjusting to this new way of working. So it does take long. It does take longer. And even though you're walking. If you're on board a ship with somebody physically, you normally be 2 people, you plus the chief engineer, for example. But now we were asking, generally, you're going to have you'll be working remotely, and you have chief engineer, for example, and one other as well. Because if the guy is looking through, or the gal is looking through the phone, going through, you're going to make sure he's doing it safely. So you might have to have somebody with him to guide him to check he's not looking at the screen, because you don't want him falling down any holes. So it's a whole new way of working.
And is this going to be available across all of the surveys, audits and inspections, or are you going to roll it out only across certain conventions and regulations at first?
So I think the short answer is yes. Long answer is, so we're doing on general inspections on our ships is what we generally do. On the yachts, we do yacht code surveys, ISM, ISPS and MLC still, and we are offering that across all those at the moment. There are limitations. So if you're doing an MLC audit, if you want to have a quick chat to 2 of the crew separately, how do you maintain confidentiality? You can make sure they got the phone themselves, and you don't want anybody listening. It's a classic audit technique. You don't necessarily want the chief engineer or the captain in the same room when you're having a proper open audit. But that's something else that you've got to learn how to manage that. As I said before, it's a completely new way of working. But we're offering it across all surveys we do.
So a new experience for both on board and your team, I should imagine, to kind of pick up on a new skill set to try and instruct that kind of eyes and ears on the ground.
Very much so. It's also worth noting that the class societies are pioneering this. They've done thousands of these now, mainly for clearing out small defects and stuff. But when they come to surveys, probably done the hundreds of surveys. But they're learning as well. So, and we're talking to the class all the time. So we pick up tips from them, and they pick up tips from us about what works. As this has been pushed forward so quickly. But but at the end of the day, the surveyor has got to be satisfied that what he's seeing is good enough to sign the ship off or the yacht off for a survey. If the quality is not good enough, we won't sign it off, and we'll try in a different port. We'll try and get somebody on board in the future. So it's not an easy route out for anybody. We still expect to see what we expect to see on board.
And are there any hurdles or kind of hesitations from the IMO or the other the ILO or the EU to sign off their kind of conventions and regulations in this way, or do you have enough kind of autonomy in the way that you apply those regulations to be able to conduct these quite freely?
The IMO are talking about remote surveys, I believe, anyway. That's been in the fore fairly recently, especially when it comes to drone surveys, with close-up surveys in the cargo, in the cargo holds of bulk carriers. There's been discussion there about that. But at the end of the day, a survey is a survey, and they don't, at the time when all the regulations written, nobody dreamt you were doing remote surveys. So no, we're upset. So we've had no kickback at all. It's been adopted by all the major class societies. We are probably one of the first flags to take on the full remote technology. I know there are some flags doing it through WhatsApp or through Teams, but that's not as a robust survey technique, because ours are all date and time stamped. I can give you a quick example of that one. Is if we're going down in the engine room where the signal's poor, with the survey package we've got, when they go offline, the chief engineer, for example, if the engine room can go around, we can give him instructions. Right, I want you to video this, and this, test this, and this, comes back, and then when it's back a signal, it gets relayed back to us, and it's all date and time stamped. So we know we're seeing it as near as real time as we can do. You won't necessarily get that if you use like a WhatsApp or another social platform, so to speak. Having said that, we do use WhatsApp or similar other ones are available to supplement what we do, because sometimes that's the easiest way. It's about being flexible. But at the end of the day, going back to your question about the IMO PSC, we've had no kickback at all on that at all. It's been accepted because we're all making sure we're doing it as thorough as we can. And if it's not acceptable, we won't sign it off.
I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, it sounds like a really exciting scheme that you've got going, and we look forward to being able to take advantage of that on some of our yachts in the future. So excellent.
That's absolutely brilliant if you could do that, because I mean, when I talked about connectivity earlier on, generally the best connected vessels in the world are commercial yachts for the owners' reasons. Absolutely. So those of us who like doing those. Yeah,
excellent. Well, look, David, thank you so much for your time today. Really interested hearing about the new scheme, and stay safe. And we look forward to talking to you soon.
Brilliant, Joe. Always a pleasure, and thanks again. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.